All right, I think we're live. It says we're live. Let me check here. Give everyone a minute to get on. Yep, says we're live. All right, cool. All right, yeah, we'll give everybody a little bit more of a chance to join before we really get into the good stuff, but thank you for joining in here. Andrew, entertain the people, please.
People, be entertained. No. It's good to have everybody on here. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, this will be good. Good
little chat, talk some baseball, have a lot of guests on, chat with each other. We haven't done enough of that the last 48 hours, so we got a lot going on, a lot to cover. But you still want me to entertain the people?
No, okay, we're good. We're about a minute in, so we can get started here soon. Yeah, all right, everyone's joining. All right, yep, I think we're good to get started. I know I'm live, thank you. What's up, everybody? I'm Noah Hiles.
Andrew Destin here.
Yeah, and you are viewing the first ever live show on the Post-Gazette's new YouTube channel for Pirates coverage at PG Pirates. Looking forward to this. I think Andrew is too.
Oh, yeah.
First or second season together doing this. We wanted to think of different ideas over the off season on how we could add to our coverage. And I think this is a way we can do that. So on this channel, we'll have a whole bunch of video content starting right now, starting this week. And we'll have a whole bunch throughout spring training. We'll have live streams like this. We'll have more podcasts. Our mailbag will have a video element added to it as well, where we answer extra questions. And a lot of stuff that we haven't even thought about yet. You know, we're going to add content, I think, as the season goes along. Nothing changing on the written side, just adding more work. But it's not really work to us because we enjoy it. And This is something that I think will allow us to bring our Pirates coverage to a new audience. And that's always good. So
yeah,
you want to give your thoughts on the move to YouTube here?
No, just excited for it. I mean, Noah, you hit on it all there. I mean, we're going to have so many different forms of content for all of you guys on YouTube, and certainly you hopefully think of us as personable enough and entertaining enough that we can, bring that content across various platforms and not just be with the written component. So yeah, the features, they're not going anywhere. The game stories, they're all going to be there, but in terms of some instant analysis, being able to respond to news, recapping series, things of that nature, like Noah was saying. I mean, this is just going to be a great opportunity for us in a visual medium for all of you.
So because we're moving into this space, I mean, we're not necessarily new to YouTube, first off. The Post-Gazette has a pretty big YouTube channel, PG Sports Now. If you don't subscribe to that, go ahead and do that. But also be sure to subscribe to us at PG Pirates. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Andrew will send you a nice little thank you letter. He's a little behind on them, but he will get after it. But because we're trying to build a footprint here in this new space, we're inviting some of our friends on the Pirates internet space on the show today. We've got a lot of different folks coming on. A couple people from North Shore 9 will be on at 7:15. Platinum Bryan, who I think is maybe the best Pirates Twitter account or X account.
It's a fun one.
He does great stuff. He'll be joining us. His actual name, we'll save that for the show.
Yeah. The grand reveal.
Yeah, the grand reveal. That'll be at 7:30. 7:45, Jason Mackey will be joining us. And then at 8 p.m., the fine fellows over at Bucko Banter will join us. So this will be around, I would say, probably around 90 minutes. Well, now 87 minutes because we've already got 3 under our belt, Andrew. So I think now is good enough to start actually talking some baseball, where we're going to be talking a lot about that. Again, subscribe at PG Pirates. I'm going to say that a million times, but let's get into the baseball talk. Andrew, tomorrow's report day. It was an off season. Yep. Was it a good off season in your eyes? Was it a bad off season in your eyes? How would you grade this off season?
I feel like it would be so easy for me to give like a milquetoast answer and say that it was neither. But like to me, I feel like it's incomplete because it almost feels like maybe there's still more there, and that's maybe a cop out. But I say that just because it feels like they really didn't do a whole lot this year. I mean, the marquee move in my mind still, and perhaps that you disagree, but trading for Spencer Horwitz, that to me was the defining trade of the offseason. And I remember when we were leaving Dallas kind of thinking to myself, both myself and Noah at the winter meetings when that trade was ultimately made, my thought process was this could be the marquee move. If it is, that's a problem. And that's no disrespect to Spencer Horwitz. It's more just a matter of, I thought there was other opportunities to improve the roster, to upgrade in their various ways, to potentially sign somebody to a longer term deal, to help out in right field, middle infield, things of that nature. I don't know. It feels incomplete. How about you?
Yeah, I would give it an F. If we're talking strictly on building a roster, making a roster better that has won 76 games the last 2 years, is there a way that I think this roster could be better? Absolutely. But I think you could feel more encouraged by last year's roster at this time, I think, than this year's roster, based off of what they had going into spring training the year prior. They had so many guys coming off of good seasons, where they have a lot of guys looking to rebound off of bad seasons this year, or at least more, I think. I liked some of the moves they made this offseason, but a lot of the things that I liked what they did involved more on the front office side. Mm-hmm. I like the additions they made to the baseball operations staff. I like the hire of Strom. I'm intrigued by the hire of Haig. That's not to say I don't like that hire. It's just he has a far less proven track record than the other hires. The Horwitz trade, I do think it makes first base better, but I just look at that for the package that they gave up, and I scratch my head a little bit. And I also think that it's a big gamble. I mean, they clearly valued control over proven production. And I think that this was a team that needed some proven production, but this is a season that's going to be defined by if the front office is right or not. Yeah. And if they're right, they're going to have a lot of fans saying, hey, sorry, we were wrong. We were happy you were correct. Wow, this is great. And if they're right, then they're set up to do great things for a long time, because pretty much every main contributor, if this team's going to be good, will be back again next year. But if they're wrong, it's going to create some very big question marks moving forward. Right. So it's a gamble, but it's also kind of an underwhelming gamble in a way, because I thought there were a lot of moves that could have been made that weren't. So Andrew, last week.
Yeah, sometime. We wrote sometime in the past.
We write early. So we wrote this last week, but I think it ran Sunday and online Monday. Mm-hmm. We wrote predictions for spring training. I want to go through this piece before we start bringing on guests. Again, I'm going to say it every couple minutes. Subscribe to our new Pirates YouTube channel at PG Pirates. All of the content on there, by the way, brought to you by Greenewalt Roofing. Big thanks to them for sponsoring us, and looking forward to making the most of their support. So, Andrew, our spring training preview predictions, we're just going to go through it. I want to hear, your thoughts behind some of these. For biggest surprise, I had Johan Oviedo. I think he's going to have a very big spring. You had Mike Burrows. Want to know why you picked Burrows?
Frankly, just to be the opposite of you.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think it's because one of those two guys, I think, is going to take the bull by the horns and take the fifth spot in the rotation. And I'm picking Burrows strictly out of principle of what we saw at Yankee Stadium when we were there in September. I was really impressed by Burrows. And we have to remember, this is a guy that before he got hurt was one of the top prospects in the organization. And people kind of forgot about him a little bit, because no disrespect to Burrows, but Paul Skenes came along, Jared Jones came along. Like, there are all these other names, and Burrows looked really good in the back end of last year in the minors, eventually got his way to the big leagues, got the cup of coffee, and looked solid. I'm really excited to, see what we get out of Mike Burrows this spring, because if he meets expectations or exceeds them, this is a guy who certainly could be in the mix to be in the rotation come opening day weekend.
I'm not going to lie. He would have probably been my second pick. Because out of all of the intriguing arms they have that ended the year in Indianapolis, or ended the regular season in AAA in Indianapolis, because Burrows technically ended the year in the major leagues. But I think he might be the first one to make I think he has the best odds out of Ashcraft, Chandler, Harrington, and Burrows. I think Burrows has the best odds to make the big league roster, and I think it could be in a role similar to Luis Ortiz. Yeah. And I think the same could be said for Oviedo. But I just think Oviedo's a guy who's going to be chomping at the bit to get back. I was impressed. It looked like I didn't cover him in 23, but I, followed the team. Seems like he got a lot bigger.
Yeah, and he's already huge.
Yeah, and he's already huge, but he put on some muscle, I think, last year during his downtime with Tommy John. Excited to see how that adds to his game. I think he's going to come into spring training with something to prove. He lost in arbitration. He's got to fight for a roster spot, especially a spot in the rotation. And the last time he was a big league player, he was the second best pitcher on this team. Now they're wondering, is he even top 5?
Right.
So I think he's got a lot to prove this spring, and I think he's going to come out guns a-blazing. I think he's going to do big stuff. So disappointment. You had Falter. I had Endy. Let's talk about these real quick. I assume Falter's just kind of like, he was bad last year in spring.
Pretty much. That's exactly what I'm predicting. And it's, if you can look back at history as a precedent, this guy, when he was with the Phillies, spring training, he had one really solid spring.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a lot of forgettable ones. I think that's just who he is. So I only throw that out there as a disappointment because maybe a lot of people are going to panic and say, oh my God, here comes another bad year. Why are we starting with Bailey Falter in the rotation? And I'll say, pump the brakes. This is a guy who made 31 starts last year, whatever the number was, 32. Yeah. He established himself as a big league starter. Don't worry.
I would say, even if he has a big spring, he can't have a bad first inning in the regular season.
No.
Because that ruined his ERA for the whole first half. I remember the numbers. He'd be 12 starts in. It's here's Bailey Falter's ERA. Here's Bailey Falter's ERA after the first inning of his first start. And it was a run difference. But yeah, that's not a bad pick. I picked Endy. And I think Endy's actually going to get up here and make an impact on this team. I'm just, this is a younger guy. He hasn't played a lot of Major League Baseball, so I think it's going to be a little harder for him to, adjust to the speed, this pace of this game at the Major League level. And again, I think it's just going to take a little bit more time with him starting the year in AAA, especially at the plate. I think it's going to take a little bit more time. So that was the explanation behind my pick. Yeah. All right, so we can go down here. We had biggest disappointment. Prospect, I have Chandler. You have Johnson. I like what you picked here for Termarr. And we're going to talk more about Bubba on this show. So I want to ask you this. If Johnson tears the cover off the ball from start to finish this spring, is there a chance he starts the year in AAA? Is there any chance?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, just because they've got a million infielders already going to start the year in AAA. They don't have really a spot for him, and he didn't do amazing in AA last year.
No, exactly. Yeah. And they've been so slow with his progress in terms of, he's 20.
He's 20 years old.
It's as simple as that. The guy's 20. They've really paced themselves with 300-400 at bats at each level that he's been to so far. So I think he'll start the year in Altoona. But that being said, might not be there for long. No. I think he very well could be a quick riser and the type of guy that come next year when we're sitting here on a couch in Palmetto or Bradenton talking about prospects, he's the kind of guy that when we talk about Bubba Chandler, could he make the team out of spring? Termarr Johnson might be that kind of guy next year.
I agree. I think that he's not far away. I do think that this is the year, if he's going to have a, burst onto the scene type of minor league showing, I think this is the year for that to happen because, he got hot in the second half of 23, 24. We were kind of waiting for it. Didn't necessarily see it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, I guess, as good as we thought it would be. I think now he's got a couple of pro seasons under his belt, and he has to feel the eyeballs on him because you look around this farm system, it's a whole lot of pitchers, and he's really the next true marquee prospect bat that we're going to see make a debut in the next 3-4 seasons. So real quick here before we go to our first guests, let's look at the opening day roster. We had some differences here. You have Mike Burrows in the starting rotation. You have Oviedo in the bullpen. You have, where else are we different here?
I think maybe catcher.
Oh, catcher. Yeah. Andy Rodriguez. So where I have Oviedo in the rotation, I had Tanner Rainey.
Yeah.
A non-roster. Guy making it. And Jason DeLay. I've asked you a whole bunch of questions. You want to ask me about my opening day roster?
Yeah,
before we get
I was going to say, so why DeLay instead of Henry Davis? I understand the sentiment, if not Andy Rodriguez, but what makes you think it could be DeLay?
I don't even think it will be a case of merit. I think even if Andy and Henry Davis do well this spring, I think they're going to find themselves in a situation kind of like Nick Gonzalez did last year, where they're going to say, okay, Joey's clearly the starter right now, and we want him to get a whole bunch of at-bats early on. So rather than having these two young guys who had a strong spring, who need everyday playing time, go and be at best a platoon guy or a backup, why not have them both go to AAA? One DHs every day, the other catches every day, and they flip-flop. I just think that that's the strategy there. And I think that would make sense because Delay is a more than adequate backup and he has options.
Yeah.
So
no,
or at least I think he has options. If he doesn't, Ethan will text me in like 30 seconds and let me know. So, but that's enough from us. It's time to get to our guests. Before we do, again, got to remind you, we are brought to you by Greeno Walt Roofing. Big thank you to them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to @PG Pirates on YouTube, our new channel. We bring on now our friends from North Shore 9. We have Jim Rosati and Tyler. Guys, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
I'm good. I'm covered by a logo right now. Let me.
Yeah, I'm kind of got some words on me.
You're good.
Tyler is just invisible, apparently.
Tyler, can you hear us?
He's there.
Can you hear us?
Hey,
there he is. All right, there he is.
Just a slight
I'm
buffer.
here. Okay, good. Here, I'm going to move this banner out of here real quick because I would like to just be able to see. There we go. All right, so I don't want to deprive the people of this beautiful face. So, guys, the way we're going to do this when we have guests on, we're going to start off. I mean, it's kind of like a job interview in a way. We need to learn how to cover the Pirates online. Actually, I don't think we need to know how to do this, but I would like to hear your take. Tell us about North Shore 9, what you guys do for the people watching who aren't aware of you, and, why you do it. I mean, this isn't your full-time job. This is something a little different for you guys. You guys have a different lane, obviously, but you do it well. You have a big following, not only on YouTube, but on TikTok, on Instagram, on all of the social media platforms. So just talk about what you guys do on a week-to-week basis and, what led to it.
Ooh. Well, North Shore 9 started in 2016 to kind of start from the very beginning. Anthony DiNardo, Ryan Alexander started it, just two Pirates fans who grew up outside Pittsburgh. Neither of them are here today. DiNardo had to go back home for something. Ryan's, handling family matters. But Tyler and I joined in 2020, and really it was just a matter of when they asked me, it was, hey, do you want to come on and talk about the Pirates a couple times a week? And I was like, sure, why not? It was like the height of COVID. I had nothing else to do. So yeah, might as well hop online and talk the Pirates for a little bit. And that turned into a Monday morning show, a midweek evening show, and then eventually 162 post-game shows every single year is what we do. So yeah, it's a lot. We don't do every single show. Luckily, we've got a team of 7 people who kind of split the duties. But yeah, we're just a bunch of Pirates fans, like to talk Pirates. When things are going well, we're really happy. We're celebrating with everybody. When things are going bad, we get upset and get mad and sulk just like everybody else. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anything to add on that, Tyler?
No, just to echo it. I think I was told that I was going to be a backup plan. So if Ryan, Jim, or DiNardo couldn't do it, I would hop on. And like Jim said, that turned into 162 post-game shows, a TikTok every day, a short every day, all the other content that we put out. Yeah, DiNardo scammed us all.
I love that.
That's basically
all right.
what happened.
So, guys, what we're going to do here, the way we're going to do this, obviously, one, to give you guys a chance to talk about your respective platform, but we also got to talk some Pirates. So I have 13 topics randomly, wrote them down throughout the day. You guys, we got enough for both. So we'll start with Tyler because he had to answer second the first time. So, Tyler, pick a number 1 through 13, and
7.
This is what we're going to ask about. 7?
7. Rocking.
All right.
Great pick.
All right, so Tyler, we're going to ask you, we'll start off, top position battle you're excited to watch this year in spring training. What do you got for us?
I'm actually going to steal Jim's thunder here. I'm sorry, but it's the catcher position, man. And I know Jim talked about it a little bit on Starbucks yesterday, but the catcher position, I think, is the most interesting part of this organization right now. And it's not the most talented, I wouldn't say, but there is a good bit of talent there. And I got to give my guy Jim credit over there because I did edit that TikTok, Jim, by the way, but that was me. He talked about the catcher position group a lot, and he mentioned Endy Rodriguez a lot. And Endy, I think, is an ultimate X factor of this team. If Endy Rodriguez can show anything like he showed in the minor leagues, I think that takes this team from a potential contender to an actual, hey, like they can make some noise here, because Endy Rodriguez has the capability to be probably a 3 to 4 win player. He's so athletic. I think he's excellent behind the plate. If the bat can play, like this dude's a really good major leaguer. So that's a position battle I'm interested in. I'm sorry, Jim, I had to take it, but really that's the one for me.
All right, Jim, you're up now. Pick a number 1 through 13, and it can't be 7.
Let's go with number 4.
Number 4. Your question is, and this is a good one. I'm glad you got this one. Bubba Chandler. Talk about his spring. What does he have to do to make the opening day roster?
I love Bubba Chandler. I think he's bound for great things. I don't think there's a single thing Bubba Chandler could possibly do in spring training that allows him to make the opening day roster. The only way Bubba Chandler makes the opening day roster is if other people do other things. There's going to have to be an injury. There's going to have to be a complete meltdown by somebody. I would say I don't think the Pirates want to start him. Like, I don't think that this is a Jared Jones type situation where he comes off an epic spring and makes the opening day roster. I think with Chandler, you want to almost treat him sort of like Skenes last year, where you know he's going to be on an innings limit. You want Chandler at the end of the year. So control those innings in the minor leagues for a month or two while they don't really mean anything. Call him up when you know he's ready, when he shows you that he's ready. And then you've got those innings to use at the major league level. I mean, the only way he makes the majors out of spring training is 1 or 2 injuries to the rotation and maybe a complete meltdown by somebody. But we mentioned Oviedo and Burrows kind of competing for that number 5 spot. Andrew, you talked about that earlier in the show. Those 2 are ahead of him. I would even put like a non-roster invitee like Carson Fulmer ahead of him. Like if you needed somebody like at the end of spring training. So not that I think Fulmer's better than Chandler, but just in the Pirates situation that they're in, I don't think Chandler makes the team out of spring.
Let's have you guys also answer the other person's question. So Jim, we'll start it back with you. Top position battle. Is it the 5th rotation spot? Is it catcher? And if it is, pick something else because Tyler already picked that.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with something different. The 4th outfield spot. I'll go with that.
Okay.
Love that.
Yep.
I feel like left field, center field, right field's pretty set with Reynolds, Cruz, and Pham. But that 4th outfield spot, do you go with Palacios? Do you go with Swinski? Do you go with Cook? Do you go with York? There's a lot of options there to go with, and none of them necessarily have like stuck a flag in the ground and said, I'm a really good major league player at any point yet. But all of them offer different things that you like. Some are left-handed, some are right-handed. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out between, I feel like those are the 4 guys mostly in the mix there.
Okay. And Tyler now, any disagreement with Jim at all? Is there any chance Bubba Chandler makes this opening day roster? Considering if everyone stays healthy, is there any way he can outperform someone to get on the opening day roster?
I just don't see it. And I have to agree with Jim on it. You can't even imagine he has a Jared Jones type of spring. Even if this guy walks on water, I can't see a single situation where he is in the rotation. And mainly it's just because they have a lot of depth at the starting pitching rotation right now. It's different than it was last year. Jared Jones was absolutely lights out. Bubba Chandler, I think, while Jared Jones was raw, Bubba Chandler's a little bit more raw, and there's still some work to be done there. So I think it would take an absolute miracle for him to be in this rotation. I'm not going to say no, but I just can't see any scenario where it happens. But hey, stranger things have happened, but no.
Okay.
As Mike Tomlin says, there's not a check big enough.
I think the only way where it would be out of merit and everyone staying healthy is if he's like Jared Jones good,
Sure.
like Jared Jones last spring good. And also if they had already had like premature plans to start Oviedo in the bullpen.
Right.
And I don't see that being the case, but if they were to say, hey, we want Johan to kind of be like Luis Ortiz last year, and ease him back in. And so it would be then a battle of Chandler or Burrows for that 5th spot. I mean, it's not completely out of the question to me because they did it last year. And I understand that last year was totally different. Like they had to have someone fill that spot. Where this year they have more than a few options. But for a team that has been very vocal, that said, hey, we're going to really rely on our starting pitching, and a team that didn't do a ton to add to its offense, if they're really going to follow that rhetoric and bank on starting pitching, there is the thought that, hey, maybe they should just open the season with their 5 best starters. And I know he hasn't thrown one pitch in the major leagues, but if you don't think Bubba Chandler is one of the 5 best starters on this team, I got nothing else for you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's the only reasoning that you could come up with that would be if you think that he isn't one of the 5 best starters is just by virtue of being green, just because the guy is still relatively recently removed from being a 2-way guy. I mean, this will be year 3 of being a full-time pitcher, right? Jared Jones was a 2-way guy in high school and obviously didn't go that route in the minors, but he still took him 3 years and change to get there. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it, but hey, to your point, anything's possible. And if there's anybody that you wouldn't bet against, it's Bubba Chandler.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
I mean, he's going to get here eventually.
Yeah.
And whenever he does, I'm very excited. So guys, we'll conclude your segment here by asking you both your player that you're most excited to watch in spring training. Now, when I ask this question, I don't want it to just be like, yeah, everyone's excited to watch Paul Skenes pitch because it's fun. But give me a true guy that you're like, when he takes the field or the mound, that you're looking to see something from. It could be a guy bouncing back from injury, bounce back from a bad season, someone maybe a newcomer, or maybe someone who's looking to take the next step forward. We'll start with Jim. Who's your guy that you're most excited to watch this spring training?
I'm going to go with Spencer Horwitz. Just because,
Okay.
like, I mean, I don't watch the Blue Jays. I never really paid all that much attention to them. You look at the numbers from last year and you like what you see on paper. You look at the projections, and the projection systems all seem to like the guy. So yeah, just trying to figure out, hey, what kind of ball player is this? What's he look like on the field? What's he look like at the plate? What can he do when he handles the bat? How does he look defensively? Those sorts of things. Yeah, first look at Spencer Horwitz. That would be my pick.
All right, Spencer Horwitz is off the board. Tyler?
And this one might come as a shock to anybody that's ever listened to us, but I'm going with Jack Suwinski, man.
Yeah.
Jack Suwinski is my pick. I'm not a big fan of Tommy Pham. I think we're well beyond that part of his career, but Jack Suwinski, you see the strikeout rate drop last year, all of the struggles. I think maybe I'm just crazy, but everyone's selling the Jack Suwinski stock. I'm buying it. I kind of think
Got to buy the dip.
Like we might see a 2-win year from Jack Suwinski this year. There was enough last year with, look, 2 wins isn't crazy, but
No,
it's really not. But I think we saw enough last year with little things. Andy Haynes, there were struggles across the diamond. Jack Suwinski cut the strikeout rate. There's still power there. I think we're beyond being worried about him being streaky. We'll just get production out of him. Jack Suwinski's my pick. Let's get a little streaky here, Jack. Come on, bub.
I will say, I think I said it on your guys' show last week. I think if they could pick one player in the whole org to have the best season of their career in 2025, I think Suwinski has to be the guy they choose because he can give them something that they desperately need, which is slugging. And if they can get 20 plus home runs and just league average defense, which is what he kind of did for his first 2 years, if he can be that guy, you have a much better baseball team. And that was clearly missing from this lineup last year. Guys, before we send you off, real quick, give us, say where we can find your work. I mean, I know where we can find your work, but tell the people watching who might not be familiar with you where they can follow North Shore 9 content.
Yeah, so North Shore 9 channel on YouTube, North Shore 9 Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, whatever your preferred social media is. We're on TikTok, North Shore 9, Instagram, North Shore 9. However you consume content, we're there under North Shore 9 podcast at your favorite podcast platform, North Shore 9. Pretty
All
easy.
right, guys. Thank you both so much for coming on. Time for a new guest, so get out of here. We'll see you in Bradenton. Yeah, appreciate you guys for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we will remove them. All right, so we got a big special guest coming up next. But before we do, again, got to remind you all, subscribe. If you're watching this right now, especially if you're watching on YouTube, I'm offended. If you're watching this on YouTube and you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It costs nothing. You should also get a digital subscription to the Post-Gazette, by the way.
That's true.
But that's for a different conversation. For now, just hit that subscribe button at PG Pirates, brand new YouTube channel. We're celebrating the launch of this new channel. And again, big shout out to Green Walt Roofing, our sponsor. They will be taking care of us for the whole Pirates season on this channel. So it's time for a new guest, Andrew. This is a guy who I'm pretty confident most of the people watching this stream have seen his posts on X, the Everything app. Everything's on X, formerly known as Twitter. A lot of great video content, a lot of positivity in what has been a very negative space, Pirates Twitter this offseason, understandably so. But I've got to meet him recently. He's a great guy. And, a lot of people probably don't even know what this dude looks like. I don't even know if we're allowed to say his name or not, but we're bringing him on. We have Platinum Key joining the show. First off, Platinum Key, are we allowed to say your name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm Mark, everyone. Platinum Key, probably know me a little bit better as that, but excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Mark, it is awesome to have you doing this. Again, as someone who just started covering the team last year, it was kind of crazy to see who is this account and what do you do? Because it's just it's instantly every game there's a million clips and you see fans post stuff all the time, but it's for you, it's crystal clear. It comes up immediately and it's helpful to us. I know. I mean, when we were doing the live blogs for every Skenes start, I think we live blog his first 15 Skenes watch. We were looking for, embeds that we could put into the file. I mean, you were beating MLB with the clips up there on social media. You did a really good job. You give your own takes too, your own analysis. It's fun to follow along. So tell us, one, I know the story behind this, but you're kind of a new Pirates fan.
Yeah.
You became a Pirates fan during the Cherington era. So tell us behind all of that and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I started really getting into MLB again. And I've moved around all throughout my life. And so what I've done is I just pick the worst team in the new city I go to and start rooting for them. And so I moved to Pittsburgh in 2019. And it was a pretty easy choice at that point to go with the Pirates. But I didn't really start getting into baseball until 2021. Got super obsessed with it. MLB The Show came out, started playing that, started listening to John Boy, their Talking Baseball podcast, getting a feel for the league, what I'd missed out on since I was a kid. And just started really getting into it. Watched every game in the second half of 2022 and decided right before the 2023 season, let's just make a Twitter account. I don't have a lot of Pirates friends to talk to, so it was a way to socialize and meet other Pirates fans and interact in a way that was not just me sitting on my couch watching TV in Michigan up here. And so I recorded this one clip off of my TV screen with my cell phone and of a Key Brian Hayes defensive play that I couldn't find posted elsewhere and wanted to share it, talk about it, and decided, hey, I'll figure out how to post some clips here. Reached out to some accounts that did it, got an idea of how to do it. And now I just watch games on my computer and post clips as quickly as possible. So it's my way of cheering for the Pirates because I can't be at PNC or at every game. So it's my way of cheering from afar.
How often do you get down to PNC? I know you went to a couple games last year.
I think
roughly how many games do you go to a year?
3 or 4 a year usually. I was down there for opening day, was down there for the Skenes start, and then I was down there for one other one, I think. So yeah, just as much as possible, but it's a little prohibitive with the travel and all that. So
yeah. So, I mean, I know Pirates Twitter reacted so well to you. I mean, you're one of the most, as Jim pointed out, North Shore 9 does their fanboy awards, and you have had you're a 2-time winner. So that's big for the people who don't understand what that is. Don't worry about it too much. We won't talk about it again. But have players ever contacted you, or even like people who are close to any players on the team? Because you've got to have those guys following you as well.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of family, a lot of friends. I've had people reach out, be like, "Hey, I played with so-and-so player in high school. Like, I love following along. I wouldn't watch the Pirates otherwise." And that aspect has been really great. Josh Palacios follows me, and got to meet him at Pirates Fest, which was cool. So it's one of the cooler aspects, just to get that friends and family, but I don't really bug anyone either. So don't really talk to them too much, to be honest.
Okay.
I just keep my distance, support from
You're
afar.
doing it right. You're doing it right. You're just being a positive fan. You're posting clips, and you're not going crazy. It's all good.
Yeah.
So Mark, I'm sure you saw how we did it with the NS9 guys. Pick a number 1. We'll just say 1 through 11.
Oh, well, I was going to say 13. That one was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had 13.
11.
So you want the last thing? Yeah. All right. What does the successful spring training look like for Henry Davis? Is it making the opening day roster? Is it establishing that he can hit big league pitching? Is it winning the starting job? What does a successful spring look like for Henry Davis, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the end that you were saying, the takeaways, because he had a great spring training last year.
Yes, he did.
He batted .310. I have it pulled up here, 1,067 OPS, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and that was just in 16 games. So, I mean, he had a great spring last year, but you want to see that confidence maybe behind the plate more. How is he calling games? How is he framing pitches? And just seeing what that swing looks like, if he can make solid contact, if he can improve this team's slugging at all, that would be such a benefit. So I guess slugging, to really answer the question, is what I would be looking for. But who knows?
Andrew, what about you? What's your take on that?
For Henry Davis, I mean, that's a tough one because defensively, I mean, as Mark / Platinum Brian mentioned,
Platinum Key.
Yeah, Platinum Key.
He doesn't have Key Brian.
No.
Yeah.
We don't have the second half of that name.
Platinum Key 13.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Henry Davis last year took tremendous strides defensively, right?
Yeah.
Like, he got so much better defensively to the point that he was at least league average, maybe slightly below. And the offense was always the selling tool with him. And as you mentioned, last year, a solid spring at the plate offensively for Henry Davis. So to me, he's got to put that together, so much more so, prove it, have changes tangible with the swing. There's got to be something different, because if we're just going to run it back the same way, I feel like it's been proven at the big league level that whatever approach he takes at the plate, it's not good enough. It's good enough at the AAA level. It's tremendous at the AAA level. It's tremendous in spring training. But what tangible changes should we expect the way that there were tangible changes defensively last year?
I agree with what you said. I personally do not care one iota what Henry does defensively this spring.
Same.
I mean, I think he has proven that he can be an adequate defensive catcher. And like you said, they didn't draft him to be, Yadier Molina behind the plate. I mean, it'd be great if he could be a Gold Glove caliber defender, but that's not why they picked him. And if you look at the long-term future for this team, I think the best case scenario is for the bat to be what they hope the bat always would be. And then you've got a DH position opening sometime soon down the line. And if you could just slide him in, do exactly what I said I think they'll do in AAA to start the year, where you have Endy and Hank on the roster, and then probably Delay as well. But your starting catcher is either Hank or Endy, depending on who's healthy and who gels with the specific pitcher. And then you DH the other guy. That's the ideal future for the Pirates. And I think that starts with Henry being able to simply hit the fastball. He has always been a fastball hitter. He mashed him at Louisville. He mashed him in the minor leagues. And he didn't struggle with them a ton, I think, in 23.
No, not at all.
But last year he just couldn't catch up to velocity, especially, ironically enough, high in the zone or over the middle of the plate.
I know StatCast pulled up here just to interject.
Yeah.
Against the fastball, he batted 123 with a 138 slugging.
Yeah.
In 20.
And I remember in April when he got demoted, I wrote a piece kind of doing an analysis on like what was going wrong. And his lowest run value on the 9 spots in the grid of the strike zone, middle was his lowest run value. And I know that he's a pull hitter. I know that, I mean, that's how they clearly coached him. And I don't think that that's a horrible strategy, but you've got to be able to, if you're going to have that pull swing, you've still got to be able to hit something that isn't on the inner third of the plate. Yeah. And so I just want to see him time up velocity. That's all. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, a 10 home run spring. I mean, if you get that from him, that's great. But I'm more just looking. All right, Jim. I'm more just looking at this point to see if he can get on top of a fastball and handle that. Because if he can be that type of player, I mean, again, similar to Suwinski, this team just needs slugging. It needs power. I think with the addition of Horwitz and maybe even Pham to an extent, I think they've got a little bit better as far as on base is concerned.
Totally.
And just having IKF around a little bit more, I think could help with that too in the lineup. But I look around and I don't see a lot of 20 home run bats in this lineup. And they needed to add some, I think, this offseason. And unless Horwitz can go out and get it, I don't think it's fair to expect Adam Frazier or Tommy Pham to do that. So your best options for that would be, guys like Horwitz or Bart. But also, I mean, when they were constructing this team in the beginning years of the rebuild, they envisioned Suwinski and Davis to be, batting probably, 4th or 5th?
Yeah.
So they need him to get the bat right. All right, Mark, got a couple minutes left. We'll just keep it at one question here because I feel like we had some good dialogue for Henry Davis.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so before we let you go, we need to know your player to watch.
All right.
And is it the man of which your Twitter account is named after?
I kind of have to go with it, and it makes sense in the context too.
Yeah.
Coming off the back injury, what does that look like? He posted the video on X recently of his swings, and what does his swing look like when he comes back? Is there changes with that? It seemed like he was a little bit bulkier, like he'd been working out a lot. Does that help the back injury go away? I'm just excited to watch him play again. I love the defense. That's going to be so much fun just seeing him back out on the field. And one other player, just to throw it out there, would be just Oneil Cruz. I got the no limit shirt on. 9 home runs in spring training last year, 1,000 OPS over 1,000. Him focusing on center field, kind of locked into that. How does that look after this offseason? Excited to see if that's improved a little bit, but also just I love watching the guy play. He's a freak. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, he is fun to watch. I remember, quick story, I think it was the first spring training game I got to cover on this beat. Mitch Keller pitched, and the way it works is after they pitch, they send you in the clubhouse mid-game. They're like, all right, Mitch is all showered up. Go talk to him. It's like the 3rd or 4th inning. And in the middle of him talking to us, his eyes wander away and he goes, oh, sorry, Oneil just hit a ball to Saturn. And then 2 seconds later, he goes back to talking and the ball hits the roof of the clubhouse out in the outfield. It was a foul ball. And I think he got a called 3rd strike on a pitch clock violation, actually. But it's kind of a whole encompassing Oneil Cruz moment.
Yeah.
It's just like there's the crazy talent that we saw and also maybe a mistake or two that they need to fix. But all right, Mark, before we let you go, where can people follow you? I mean, it's in the name
here, the Platinum Key 13 on X. That's just where I'm posting right now. Come tune in. I'll have GIFs, clips, random reactions, compilations, recaps. So come on and join the fun.
Awesome. Mark, thank you so much for coming on.
Subscribe, like.
Yes, subscribe. Thank you. Like, subscribe. Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
So, like Mark said, you got to subscribe at PG Pirates. Please subscribe. I expect to see, I don't know, 2 million subscribers by the end of this stream?
I think that's low. I mean, we're talking at least 5, no?
5 million?
Yeah. That's
I
my
mean, if
expectation.
Mr. Beast has, 300 million or something, I feel like we can get close to that.
That's the game show guy, right?
Yeah.
See, he's so important. I know who
If
he is.
Mr. Beast wants to join the stream, he can replace Jason Mackey. Until then, we'll let Jason Mackey on instead. Jason, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Are you doing okay? Your voice sounds a little raspy.
I mean, anytime I go in different weather changes,
Okay.
that happens to me. This is a good voice change for me because it's like I'm in nice weather now. But yeah, I'm doing great. I went for a run outside today. Used the
Saw
golf
that.
simulator a little bit. Andrew and I went down to the park, threw some catch. He got down in the catcher stance.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And he got back up, I see.
Yes.
That's good.
Of
Give him
course.
the scouting report.
Scouting report, the fastball, it's got a little tail inside. The
Yeah.
two-seamers, it's going to run in on a righty.
Yeah.
You better be prepared for 68 and hard on the black.
68.
Yeah. I mean, in my arm, I'm already on the IL. They've got me on the Skenes innings limit because I have not thrown a baseball that hard in at least 10 years.
You guys are
But,
crushing it. I love it. I love
awesome.
it. One day in. Not
Yeah,
even a
I mean,
day.
yeah, this has been fun doing this. And I guess everyone knows, obviously, if you're following the PG, that Jason obviously covered the team before us. He's the columnist now at our paper. So rather than asking, oh, what do you do or everything, there's more video coverage opportunities at the Post-Gazette now than ever before. I mean, we keep adding more stuff, more ideas and everything. How have you enjoyed attacking this element to your job? Because you've always been you're a traditional newspaper guy.
Yeah.
You love the idea of you still get the print copy and you read it every morning and everything. How have you adjusted to the video element of this job, and do you enjoy it?
So I'm not going to lie to you, Noah. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out myself. I was doing the first 10 daily podcast, and I don't think I ever really got there for what it should be. And I thought it was a bunch of wasted effort. And so we're changing that up. I'm doing a weekly podcast now, running on Saturdays with some Pittsburgh media members and former athletes and that sort of thing. So I really like that. I'm trying to figure it out. I never did the beat the way you guys are doing it. My hat is off to you guys. I don't have a hat, obviously, but I think it's really cool. Places you're taking the beat places that I never did. I don't have the mind for it. I probably would have screwed it up. I'm doing some radio stuff. I certainly like talking about it. I like doing the video stuff. I just didn't have the ideas for it. I was more, I'm going to hunker down and write 72 stories or something. So I like the way our coverage is evolving. I enjoy it as a consumer. I'm trying to find my place in it, but we'll get there.
I think it's cool because it allows everyone to with video and all of this, it's still relatively new, especially in traditional media, where there is a little bit of a grace period. Whereas writing, I feel like it's existed the way you cover a team writing. There's a formula to it where you have to know how to do certain things. Where for this, every specific reporter, columnist, whoever, or even fans who do their own content, you can figure out what you do best. And that might take a little bit. Like North Shore 9 did things differently. I remember listening to them when I was in college, and they did things differently compared to how they do it now. And Andrew and I will figure out stuff on this channel that we like how we do it one way, as opposed to maybe how we did it earlier in the season. So yeah. I think it's cool, and I'm excited to continue doing this, and I'm sure you'll have some form of a hand in it because, it's going to take everyone to grow this thing. So
yeah. It's your baby. I have meddled too much already. I've told you this privately. I can say it publicly. Like, I need to get the hell away and let you guys be you. So
all right.
If I can help, I will. If not, you do you and crush it out of the park.
Well, don't leave now because we got some Pirates talk to do.
Yeah, we got to pick your brain. We got too many questions.
Yeah,
Jason.
we've knocked 3 topics off, so we've got 10 to get after.
All right.
Pick a number 1 through 10.
7.
7. All right. You're actually the perfect guy to ask this because you got to really pay close attention to the team to answer this one. Non-roster invite that you think has the best chance to make the opening day roster.
Tanner Rainey.
I love that pick.
Right up his wheelhouse.
Love that pick. Tell me why.
Well, one, he pitched on a World Series winner.
Yeah.
I think when this guy's healthy, he's a very good pitcher. And if I'm betting in these situations, from what I've seen the past couple of years, you oftentimes bet on guys with health. They have an opportunity. He's going to get used right. I think there's a lot of guys in the back end of the bullpen, like a Tim Meza, Caleb Ferguson. Roles are accounted for. Like, I think Baraki, I really like Ryan Baraki. I just don't see how they're going to break camp with a guy on a minor league deal ahead of guys on major league deals you kind of have to give preferential treatment to. But at the early parts of that bullpen, which is where Tanner Rainey would make it, I think there's more of an opportunity. And I think the opening is for a multiple inning guy, and I think Tanner Rainey can do that maybe more so than some of the guys that match up in late innings. And honestly, guys, like position player-wise, I don't see where an opening would be.
Yeah. Even if there are injuries, I don't see it. And to add on the Rainey point, too, I mean, you look, this guy pitched a lot of innings in the majors last year for the Nationals.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think he threw at least 50-something, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he, in a way, is coming off of a larger workload than most of the returning guys in this bullpen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, last year was his first year back from TJ. The velocity was something that made him special prior to surgery. When you think of him pitching in the Nationals bullpen when they won in 2019, he was his velo was among the best in baseball among relievers. I don't know if he can get back to that good of velo, but if he can get close to it, I don't see how you don't throw him in there. It's too good of a, low risk, high reward, especially to start the year in April. So, do you have anything to add, or should we ask J-Mac another question?
No, we got to keep peppering him with questions.
All right.
Andrew,
What?
talk, Andrew.
My thoughts are as follows: is that Rainey's an interesting one, certainly because of the.
Do you have someone different?
For me personally, I said, and I believe we did this for the predictions.
Yeah.
I think we did. I said DJ Stewart's my guy, and I say that because the power potential, somebody who could play a corner outfield spot. Now, in fairness, I was a little bit more bullish on him before they made the signing of a guy named Tommy Pham. But that being said, I still think they're going to have to carry an outfielder who's a left-handed bat complement. Like, that's a guarantee at this point, somebody who's a fourth or fifth outfielder. Whether that's him, whether that's Joshua Palacios, whether that's Jack Sawinski, whether that's even G1 Bay. There's tons of options there. I think it's a relatively even playing field, and I think Stewart is a different guy than most of the group, except for Sawinski, which, who's to say that with Jack Sawinski, they don't say, hey,
he's got options.
You've got options.
Yeah.
Start him in the minors and let him keep working there, which obviously, if that's the outcome, that's not great for the Pirates, but I think that's a very plausible outcome.
Big shout out to Derek, points out he threw 51 innings last year. I mean, that is a solid workload for a reliever in the major leagues. So, I think he's got a shot. Jason, pick another number. It would be 1 through 9 now.
All right, let's go 5.
All right. Who on this team needs to have a good spring training, where you wouldn't feel good about them if they struggled throughout the spring?
David Bednar.
Yep. I think that's the obvious choice here.
Yeah. I mean, I could go with a couple other guys. Like, I'd like to see Mitch Keller have a good spring. I think that might be important. Thinking about Oneil Cruz, he strikes me as somebody who might carry that with him. It's not bigger than Bednar. I just think I'm down here at Mike's, as you guys probably have deduced. And like the number of conversations I've had with people about Bednar and just the importance and how well he needs to pitch. And like, I think it's just one of the biggest conversation topics with the Pirates right now. Like, do they get the version of him that was a 2-time All-Star, or they get the version of him who had a 6 ERA? And I think spring training will go a long way toward it. I think him not having a real spring was a big reason why he struggled last year. So I'm going Bednar. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bednar is absolutely the right pick. And I think an important point with the Bednar discourse is that there's not really a backup option if this doesn't work. That's, I think, that's where I like going with this, is because last year they signed Aroldis Chapman, right? There's, let's just get a guy who's going to be a potential Hall of Famer, likely Hall of Famer. Now you look at the way the bullpen is comprised. Yeah, they've got a ton of options there, but if this Bednar thing doesn't work out at closer, who are you tuning it to? Is it Colin Holderman, who last year, was great for a good chunk of it, but was downright unusable at the end of July and early August? Is it an unproven guy for the most part, like a Carmen Majinski or Kyle Nicholas, who each have their concerns? The Bednar question, that's everything. To me, that's where this all starts.
You know who else is up there for me, guys, is Hayes. And
that would have been my pick.
Like, Well, that would have been okay.
Yeah.
In large part because of health.
Mhm.
Like, does he hurt himself? I hope not. Is he 100%? I mean, I sure hope he is. So position player wise, I think I'd probably go with Key.
Yeah, I think they're 1A and 1B, where it's, I mean, you want to see one guy just, is he healthy? Like, I'm more interested in seeing if he's healthy than the guys who missed all of last year because of Tommy John. Like, I would assume that they're, like, I would rather see them go through the ringer, and it's like, how stable is that back? Because we're talking the difference of maybe 2-3 wins if he's healthy or not. And for Bednar, like Andrew pointed out, I mean, I don't know if there's a bigger risk as far as there's not a backup plan. I mean, you could talk about the value of a guy like Skenes or Cruz or whoever. If those guys go down, it would be a huge blow to this team. But you have other people that you can put in their spot, and they have had success playing those roles. Yeah. Whereas like Bednar, I mean, I don't know who the closer is if he goes down.
Maybe
all right.
Dennis Santana?
Yeah, I mean that's it. Or it might force them to make a trade.
Yeah.
That might have to happen if that's the case. So, Jason, you got a couple more minutes. I want to ask you, before we ask you the question, we got to remind everyone, subscribe. I'm shocked with how many people are watching this. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Apparently,
what are we up to? Do we know?
We're total viewership right now. We're at 1265.
But like people that have liked and subscribed.
No, that's how many people are watching this right now. 1,270 and counting. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, for all these people, we better have 1,200 subscribers to our YouTube channel. I'm going to be upset. Or at least maybe half of that. At PG Pirates, please subscribe. And again, big shout out to our sponsor, Greenewalt Roofing, as well, for covering us for all of this Pirates coverage. So, Jason, as we send everyone off, got to ask you, player that you're most excited to watch this spring training, for one reason or another, who do you have your eyes on?
Paul Skenes is the obvious. I'm not going to go there. Bubba Chandler. Because I've seen Cruz. I know what he can do. I know it's going to be fun. I was enjoying the story you were telling Noah about Mitch Keller's availability. I think I was there.
Yeah,
I think I was like in the periphery. I remember that happening. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, that's fun. But I'm going to go with Bubba just because I think with a good spring, he can pitch his way onto the roster. I want to see him force their hand. I want to see – I mean, I just think it would be fabulous theater to see him dusting guys the way Jared Jones did last year. I think, he's obviously a huge part of the future of this team. You're going to get the best view that you're going to get of Bubba. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that one. If I just to balance it out position player wise, I'm trying to think maybe Tommy Pham just for pure theater. I
hear you're a fan of his. No,
I'm here. That's all right. I'm good. Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of the whole scenario.
I know. There is validity to it. I do think he provides some edge. But on the note of, I'm sorry. On Chandler, I wanted to ask, do you think that he has as light of a workload as Skenes did last year? Or do you think we see him throw a little bit more? Because, I mean, you look at it, I don't see a lot of differences between Chandler 2025 and what Jones entered in 2024, as if these guys have been pros for years now. They have workloads, where Paul, that was his first ever spring training, and that's why we only saw him throw, 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah.
Do you think we see Chandler used regularly?
No. I mean, used regularly, yes. Are they going to cap his innings? Yes.
Okay.
I guess here's what I'm trying to say. I think they're going to be cognizant of – I was looking it up while you were talking, Noah, that he was at 120 last year.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go much above 140, 150.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just him being used normal for his age. Maybe that's not a thing. I don't know how you want to classify it. I don't think they're going to get crazy with it. I think he's too important. I think they're going to have to be somewhat – I thought they did the Skenes things perfect last year. And maybe they do that with Bubba this year where they keep him in AAA for a little bit and monitor his innings. To me, that would be perfect usage and this ending very well. So it's just a little bit of both. I think they're going to be aware of it, but I don't think they're going to, they're not going to Strasburg him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be, they're going to have that in mind, but I do think that he will he won't just pitch like 2 times and be done. Like, I don't think his first start, if he has a perfect game through 3 innings, they're sitting him down. Either.
No,
I think
I
they're
agree.
going to ease him.
I agree with that.
So, well, Jason, thank you so much for making time. Obviously, you got a lot going on. Looking forward to having you down here. Bradenton misses you. Everyone on the streets, they're saying, "Where is Jason Mackey?"
No, they're not. It is
yeah,
your
they
feed.
are. They're saying this guy
yourself.
comes down here for 6 weeks and he spends enough money at the restaurants to keep the lights on for the whole city. they love him. They're excited to have you down here.
Well,
but in all seriousness, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your support. Just for us taking over this beat and looking forward to continue working with you.
All right, you guys keep doing you. You're crushing it. Wait, look at this. Almost 1,400 people.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Awesome.
Appreciate you stopping on. Thanks, Jason.
Yep. All right, so that was Jason Mackey. 3 guests, Andrew. We've been doing it for an hour.
We only got 2 more to go.
2 more.
One more time slot.
1 more time slot, 2 more guests. We're going to get to them. Before we do have to remind you, if I haven't, have I said this?
What are you going to say? I got a hunch.
Why don't you tell people to do it? I feel like I've been pushing the subscription stuff.
Oh, to subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys should all subscribe.
Yes.
I'm with this guy. You should do that. No, seriously. We appreciate you guys watching. This has been tremendous on our end. Supremely appreciated. Take the next step. We've already, increased our subscription number far more than we would have possibly hoped for today. Just keep it climbing. Like, this is tremendously appreciated by all of us.
And if you all subscribe and more, then we really won't have to do much work during the season. We could just sell you a fake bag of goods. No, I'm just kidding. And I know we've gone into this next duo's time slot, so they're getting extra minutes. We're not cutting them short. I would never do that to my guys. We're welcoming them on now. We have Adam Shore and Scott Moore, the duo of Bucko Banner. The other team I'm a part of. I join them every other week on the show. These guys, man, I feel like, I had my first year on the beat. I feel like we all kind of entered the Pirates universe together a little bit, and it's been fun seeing them carve their own lane out there. I know players appreciate their content probably more than they appreciate ours. But it's been cool to see them do their thing. I want to give them the stage real quick. We'll start with Adam. Adam, can you just tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Shore, co-host of Bucko Banter with Scott Moore. We started this podcast about a year ago, and we talk Buccos twice a week on the Just Baseball Media Network. We're at about 65 games a year, walking around with mini mic content, giving away signed baseballs, just trying to get fans interested in Pirates baseball, right? At the end of the day, we want people gravitating towards this team, consuming all the content that they can in a positive fashion, and that's what we aim to bring at Bucko Banter.
All right, Scott, anything to add here? Actually, I'm going to give you a different question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're 1 year in.
Yeah.
You're both of you guys. You played college baseball. Scott, you worked in Major League Baseball, so you've been on a different side of it. You got 1 year in the creator space under your belt. What was the biggest challenge, and what was the biggest enjoyment you got from it?
I don't know. Maybe probably getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I think I feel like last spring we went down to spring training. We were a month into the podcast and we were trying to go up and mini mic people. And we got 2 rejections. We're like, all right, let's stop doing this because this isn't fun. So we just watched the games. But as the season went on, as we went to more games, especially at PNC, man, we got really comfortable with it. We had fun interacting with fans, and I don't know, bringing engagement about this team.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, I'm sure you've been following along. I'm shocked that neither of you guys said meeting Sax Boy was the highlight.
Well, that's given, right?
Yeah,
he's just around at all points. Yeah,
we're gonna have him on the channel sometime this season.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of topics to get into. We'll give you guys a couple here. We'll start off with Scott because Adam got to answer the first question first. Scott, just give me a number. It'd be 1 through 8.
4.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, we can do that. So Scott, who is, in your opinion, the favorite to be catcher number 2 on the opening day roster?
Right now, I would say Henry Davis, simply because I think Endy is going to spend some time in AAA. Just coming back slowly from the injury. I think they're going to work him back slowly. I'd like to see Endy as at number 2. But if Henry comes out hot this spring like he did last spring, I could see him garnering most of those C2 reps come opening day until Endy's ready.
Adam, I'll ask you the same question. What do you got?
I think this team has too much invested in Henry Davis to keep him in AAA any longer. I agree with Scott. Coming back from Tommy John, that they might want to just kind of get him a little bit more integrated into the system, ramp him up a little bit more in AAA. I think Endy provides what this team loves, which is versatility. They could throw him at first base. You can catch him. I'm pretty sure he played some middle infield at second on the right side in the minor leagues. But if you could hit, then they're going to find a way for you to be in this lineup, and they need that out of Henry Davis. I think this is kind of a prove it year for him, and any longer in AAA, you're just going to be wasting away time that he could be getting that major league experience. So they're going to find a way to get him on the roster this year. It's just going to be up to him to stay there.
All right. We got more questions to ask them, but first we got to remind everyone again, subscribe at PG Pirates. Please subscribe. Please.
Subscribe.
Please. I'm asking you.
Do it.
Yes.
Do it.
The Bucko Banner guys say so. All right. So Adam, you get to pick the question now. 1 through 7, I believe.
Let's go 2.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah, 2. Okay. This is a fun one. Who will lead the team in home runs this spring training?
This spring training.
Yes. This is spring training preview, not the regular season preview.
All right.
Because that's a different answer, right?
Yeah,
like if you're thinking regular season, you're thinking there's one of maybe 3 people you're picking from. But spring training could be anyone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Your 8th inning Warriors.
Yeah, we saw the long ball a ton last year. I'm pretty sure they led spring training in home runs, and we thought this was going to be a slugging team going into 2024. It was the exact opposite. It was a total colossal failure in that department. But it's hard to tell in spring training, right? Because you're getting fed a lot of fastballs. Guys are working through different types of stuff. But if I were to pick one guy, I'd probably go with Ke'Bryan Hayes. I think Ke'Bryan Hayes he always has a great spring. He has a great spring. If he's able to stay healthy, okay, this time of the year in Ke'Bryan Hayes, it just matches. There's something about it where he's able to elevate to celebrate. It doesn't really translate as we get into 162, but he always has really good springs. And, I could have gone Henry Davis. I think he's going to feast on fastballs a lot. But, let's switch it up. We need Ke'Bryan to be a part of this team. We need him to be healthy. He's the best defender in baseball. I truly believe that. But if the bat's not going and the back can't stay healthy, it's bad for this team. So we got to keep pushing that Ke'Bryan Hayes agenda.
Okay, you guys can keep pushing an agenda. I'm
pushing it.
But Scott, what do you got?
Man. Adam, thank you for not taking my answer because I didn't want to have the same answer twice here. I'm going to go Oneil Cruz because Oneil Cruz came out of the gate last year really hot in spring training to the point where I was like, brother, save some home runs for the season. Yeah. So I'm going to go Oneil Cruz. I think he's going to come out hot. I think he's primed for a potential 30-30 season. Don't want to put that, projection on him just yet, but Oneil Cruz is my final answer.
Andrew, let's talk about this, me and you. Who do you think will lead the team in spring training homers?
I'm bummed because I got to say Adam stole my answer.
Really?
Because I think
that is a big pick. I think that's a bold pick.
It is a bold pick, and that's what I was going to say. I think Adam's answer was the best answer to any question in terms of thoughtful, had some stats that backed it up in terms of, Ke'Bryan Hayes staying healthy in regular season, not easy. But he always dominates spring training.
Are you telling me these bloggers know a little bit about baseball?
I would say they can banter about some buckos.
Okay, well, all right.
They can banter about some buckos. But,
yeah, they can.
No, but I'll go an even more of a dark horse candidate then. I'll say Jack Sawinski.
Okay. I'm going to take the way down the board just because, I don't know, I just see with his versatility, I think there's so many different places he could play. I think he's going to get more at bats than a lot of people. And I think the pop can be there. We saw it a little bit in the final couple of months. I'm going to say Jared Triolo.
Oh, Scott loves that answer.
You're speaking to me right now.
And that's not me predicting that Jared Triolo is going to hit 20 home runs in the spring. I mean, for instance, Henry Davis, I think, was second on the team in home runs in spring training last year. So, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I do think we're going to see Jared Triolo convert a little bit more doubles into home runs this year. And I think that's just a product of him being in the big leagues for another year. And again, the swing tweaks they made in August and September, I mean, they happened so late in the year and the team was well out of contention where I feel like they kind of went unnoticed. but I mean, he was barreling the ball a lot more. The exit velocity I felt like was a lot better. So, and if he can continue on that and Matt Haig can build off of that, I think we could see a really good spring. And this is a guy too, where, I mean, he's coming off a Gold Glove win. He's coming off his first full year in the majors. He's probably still got some stuff he would like to prove though. You know, he wants to be an everyday player. He doesn't want to be a super utility guy. He's looking at a guy like IKF, who he's talked about, you know, someone he looks up to. And it's like, you know, every super utility guy, they'll tell you, yeah, I like helping the team. However, every baseball player wants to know exactly where they're going to play.
Yeah.
You know, while it's fun to play different spots, Andrew and I were talking about this when we were throwing catch in the park today. It's like, oh, you know, what positions do you play when you were younger? I was like, oh, I was a shortstop when I was 12, and I played second base and pony league and all that. And it's always fun to move around the diamond. But when you're doing this for a living, you're playing 100 plus games. It's a lot easier when you're going into work. You know, all right, I'm going to be batting sixth, and I'm going to be playing third base. You know, so that's something I think he has to strive for, and I think he's got something to prove. So I'll go with Triolo. We got time for one more question for you guys. You guys decide together.
All right.
Oh man, Scott,
this isn't good.
Ready on the count of 3. What is it? 1 through 7, Noah?
Yes, it would be 1 through
4 or 5.
4, 5, 6. We have 6 left.
All right, let's do it, Adam.
Count of 3.
1, 2, 3. 3.
4. That's one off. Let's go 3.
We're gonna go 3.
Yeah, we'll go with Scotty's pick.
This is a good way to end it for you guys. Well, I mean, we got ended on another question, but hottest take on what will happen in spring training. Hottest take.
Spring training. All right.
Yeah, again, this is a spring training preview.
Right.
Ooh,
So
man.
it can pertain to literally anyone that's coming in a Pirates uniform. Who started last time? Adam started last time, right?
Yeah.
So Scott, give me your hottest take for the Pirates heading into spring training. So this is more,
All right.
This isn't a prediction. This is more something that you strongly believe going into spring training.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay on the Triolo train. I did this last night. We were on another baseball podcast last night previewing the Pirates. I think Jared Triolo is going to lead the spring in batting average. I think he's going to unlock another level this year with the bat. I'm a big believer in Jared Triolo, our BABIP king. He's going to put the ball in the air a little bit more this year. And I think he's a guy that we're going to rely on a lot this year because he's also one of our best defenders on a team that struggles defensively. If you look at this team at this depth chart right now. So I'm looking for a big spring from Jared Triolo. I think he's going to lead the Grapefruit League in batting average. And I think he's going to carry that into the season.
All right. Adam, hottest take.
This is going to be a little bit like niche. We're going to focus on like a very specific area. Last year, we thought the bullpen was going to be the strong suit of this team. There was a lot of injuries, but I think we have a lot of high leverage arms going into this year. A lot of guys that you can argue just have absolutely disgusting stuff, but need to work on kind of honing their craft a little bit. I think Kyle Nicholas is going to establish himself this spring as just being that dominant 7th, 8th inning guy. His stuff last year, you could have argued was the best in the bullpen. It's just a matter of commanding the zone a little bit. I loved this when the Pirates got Nicholas a couple years back, and I think he's going to be a staple in this bullpen, but you're going to really see a step forward this spring.
I love making comparisons to the last regime, you know, to be like, okay, you know, this guy is that era's Starling Marte or so on and so forth. I think there is a route where Kyle Nicholas could be like this regime's Mark Melancon, you know, where it's like there was the closer, he comes in, and he wasn't necessarily just Melancon was acquired and kind of just took off. Where Nicholas was more developed here, I think, but he could have ended up being maybe not the closer this year, but being like a very reliable leverage arm. And then continue to build off that, and you feel comfortable maybe moving on from Bednar because you have a guy like Nicholas in your bullpen. That's something that I look at as a possibility. Yeah. Andrew, anything to add?
No, I was just going to say that I think if we're keeping it to hot takes, we should probably include
you give a hot take.
I mean, I am the king of hot takes.
Yeah, Andrew's hot take is like they're going to play games.
I'm not going to lie. This one, I don't think it'll actually happen, but this is kind of festering on my mind a little bit. somebody who's signed to a major league contract will not make the team out of camp.
I think that's a really good one.
I think that it could be a Tim Meza. It could be somebody like that. And Adam Frazier.
Yeah.
Somebody that they were brought in on a because it's not going to be somebody like a Caleb Ferguson who's what, $3 million, something like that. It's not going to be Tommy Pham at $4 million, but somebody who's on a 115.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Meza. I mean, Barucki's major league value is the exact same.
That's
so
not a coincidence.
I really think they're just being
and he's
like
younger.
Yeah, one of you two guys is going to be in this lefty on lefty role.
Yep.
And whoever has the better spring is going to get the job, and whoever's healthy is going to get the job. So that's interesting, guys. Before we send you off, we need your prediction, or not prediction, but player you're most excited to watch this spring. And if you've been watching the show, it's not just like a guy like, oh, Paul Skenes is fun, although no one has picked Skenes, but just someone you're really interested to see how they perform. And Scott, I'm going to say you can't pick Jared Triolo because you've already talked about him enough. So Adam, you can start.
I'm going to go Spencer Horwitz. This is the biggest move that they made this offseason. You had 2 signings that were over $3 million in Pham and Andrew McCutchen, but this is the guy that they want to play first base. This is the lefty bat that they were craving in the infield. If we can see a good sample size from him this year, but consistent at bats in front of Pirates fans and show a little bit of pop in that bat, because it's definitely there. We just need to see it for an extended period of time. So most looking forward to watching Spencer Horwitz, and I think he's going to have a really good spring.
All right, Scott.
I'm going to go with my pick to click this year, Mr. Nick York. I have no idea where he's going to play because right now we're rostering like 7 second basemen. But the more we get further away from his shoulder surgery, they talk about his arm getting stronger, his toes getting stronger. He had a really good AAA season last year between Boston and Pittsburgh. He's a guy that I think you can plug in multiple different roles this year, and he can make an impact. Whether that impact is like a 2024 Nicky G or above that, I don't know. But he's a guy that I think is going to make a big presence here in Bradenton this spring, and I'm really excited to see him.
Awesome. Guys, before we let you go, tell us where we can find your work.
Absolutely. On all social media at Bucko Banter, you can see the name below, BANTR, no E in it. And then on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe. And while you're at YouTube, know what you should do? You should subscribe to PG Pirates. It's going to be a great channel. Hopefully that we're able to contribute down the road. We've done a ton of shows with Noah and Andrew over here, and we look forward to doing that in the future. But go follow us on all social media. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got multiple episodes a week. Players come on the show. And these two guys here often. So looking forward to the future, boys.
Yeah, I'll give them a shout out real quick as we send them off. Hey, guys, thank you so much again for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But shout out to them. They had the first Tim Meza interview of all Pirates media. He joined their show. It was really good. I think that who else did they have? They had Connor Griffin on this offseason.
Billy Cook.
Nick Gonzalez was on. All other guys. Matt Capps was joining them. Not a current player, but Pirate nonetheless.
Great closer.
Yeah, great closer. Great announcer.
Helped many a fantasy team.
The big bull. They call it the big bull rider. The big bull was Pedro Alvarez. My apologies to Matt Capps. Andrew, we got a couple more minutes before we're going to wrap up. Again, want to remind everyone, please subscribe if you haven't already at PG Pirates. If you're tired of hearing me say that, you're not alone. But we need you to subscribe. We've got some questions left. I'm going to just go with one. We're going to answer this one, and then we're going to wrap it up. And again, big thanks to our sponsor, Green and Walt Roofing. They support this channel. You know, we appreciate their support. Who is your spring training hero this year? And when I say that, I'm not thinking, Jared Jones 2024. I'm thinking more like Diego Castillo 2022. Who's a guy who might be on the 40-man roster, might not be. Maybe doesn't even make the opening day roster. I think of like a Matt Haig when he got the nickname the Hit Collector. And I think he did earn an opening day roster spot because of that.
Right.
But who's a guy that you think is just going to play like way out of nowhere good? And it's just like, where did this guy come from? Who's a name that we can look for that?
Yeah, maybe not so much as coming out of nowhere, but I think this is a name that we need to take seriously this spring is Joshua Palacios.
That was a great pick because, Go ahead. I have a theory as where you're coming from, but go ahead.
Okay, because last year, man, 2023, right, by all indications, was a great year for Joshua Palacios. The clutch homers, the, sidestepping it into home plate with the walk-offs. Like, he was the great consummate vibes guy that any team would love to have in their clubhouse. And 2024, we get the spring, and anytime anybody would talk to Joshua Palacios, hey, Palacios, how you doing? My calf's still giving me a hard time. My hamstring's still giving me a hard time. And he just never was able to get off running with a solid start to the year. And it's little wonder why he was so, held back by injuries, spent a lot of time in the minors. I think this is a guy, obviously, he's gotten to the big league level before. He's got a lot to prove. There is an opportunity that is sitting there right in front of him. Even if he doesn't platoon with Tommy Pham, this is a guy who is going to face a lot of right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
Could be the fourth outfielder, could be the fifth outfielder even on a roster. There's an opportunity for him to run with. And if there's anybody on the roster, on the 40-man, who needs to have a chip on their shoulder, I think it's Joshua Palacios.
I like that pick a lot. I'm going to go someone in a similar boat, someone who I think is competing well in the mix for the fourth outfield spot. I'm going to go Billy Cook.
Yeah.
I think that Billy Cook has some pop. I think his defensive versatility will allow him to get a whole bunch of opportunities this spring. And I also think that makes him an attractive roster candidate. And I think that if he plays well and, if Pham doesn't, they wouldn't scoff at the idea of just being like, you know what, let's just give him the keys to the car and we can platoon him with either JP or Jack. So Those are guys that I have my eye on. Andrew, we've been doing this now for an hour and 20 minutes. We got to get to bed. We got an early day tomorrow. Any final remarks here before we wrap it up?
No, kudos to the host here. This is the guy who's been running this show and doing a banner job at it.
Yeah,
a banter job. Sorry, play on words.
Yeah.
But seriously, no, this has been such a blast, honestly, connecting with people that we consider friends in the industry, colleagues, you name it. Being able to chat in front of all of you people has been such a joy. So glad to be out here in the Bradenton area and can't wait for this all to get started tomorrow.
A huge thanks to everyone who came on. North Shore 9, Bucko Banner, Platinum Key, Jason Mackey. Follow them all, support their work. They all do great stuff in their own individual lane. I don't like the narrative that just because we work at the Post-Gazette that we're too good to work with people who don't do this for a full-time living. I think there's plenty of seats at the table, and I think that despite the Pirates not having a ton of success over the last 2-3 decades, there are some people who cover this team who have a lot of talent, and some of them do it through storytelling. Some of it do it through analysis. Some of it do it by tracking the finances better than anyone ever, better than running numbers at the IRS. Shout out Ethan. But there are a lot of people who do a lot of good work when it comes to covering this team, and it's fun that this new platform will give us an opportunity to work with all of them. So thank you all for coming on and joining us, helping us launch this channel. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. We're talking to 1,700 people right now. That is crazy. I never thought we'd have that number here tonight. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed already, I'm just going to ask you to do it one more time. Hit that subscribe button at PG Pirates on YouTube. We will have a ton of content throughout spring training, the regular season, and in the off season. A lot of new coverage that you're not going to find from an outlet of what we do anywhere else. We're really excited to get after it. Thank you again for everyone listening in. And hey, we'll see you tomorrow on this channel. Talk to you then.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.